Blog Talk Radio.
Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroads where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future. Shedding the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition. Not exactly remarkable, ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Well, hello, and welcome. My name is Mark Andrew Cummings, your host.
And I am Lynna Ariel Lopez, your hostess.
And we are broadcasting live from the beautiful land of enchantment, Silver City, New Mexico.
We wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsors, thebreastformstore.com. They have everything you can imagine to enhance your feminizing needs.
As well as Spunk Lube, which is an award-winning lubricant, and it's glycerin-free, and it is safe with all materials. Anyway, we want to talk a little bit about the Pope and the latest buzz on that. It looks like we were all wrong about what a chill and modern LGBT-friendly guy Pope Francis was. A month after he reportedly embraced and welcomed a trans man into the Catholic Church, the pontiff has now spoken out against trans people.
More specifically, he's spoken out against what he calls, quote, gender theory, otherwise known as the idea that gender identity lies across the spectrum, a concept which underpins trans and queer thinking, saying that it does not, quote, recognize the order of creation.
Well, the National Catholic Reporter says that the Pope's comments were published in a book called Pope Francis, This Economy Kills, which examines his stance on social issues like poverty and immigration when speaking on how important it is for Christians to protect the environment.
He says that there will always be Herods that destroy that plot designs of death, that disfigure the face of man and woman, destroying creation. Let's think of the nuclear arms, of the possibility to annihilate, in a few instances, a very high number of human beings, Pope Francis says.
Let's think also of genetic manipulation, of the manipulation of life, or of the gender theory that does not recognize the order of creation. With this attitude, man commits a new sin, that it's against God, the Creator.
The true custody of creation does not have anything to do with the ideologies that consider man like an accident, like a problem to eliminate. God has placed man and woman at the summit of creation and has entrusted them with the earth. The design of the Creator is written in nature. That's his opinion.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, that old saying, everyone has one.
Well, you know, when the Pope has an opinion, lots of people listen. You know, it's like that whole old commercial, like when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. The Pope is, you know, unfortunately a very important person in society these days and has been in history.
But why? I don't understand. He puts one foot leg one at a time like everybody else, or one pen. You know, what makes him the authority of anything? And I think that all goes back.
It's because Catholics believe that the Pope is basically God's representative on the earth, and that he is almost like deity.
What about all the child molestations and all these accusations and all these things? I mean, these are just human beings. They are very limited human beings. Yes. and they have no authority. And I'm sorry if I offend anyone by saying this, if you're Catholic, but, you know, we really have to start thinking that we are all part of the great I am, the great universe, spirit, source, whatever we want to call him, God or her. And there's no one particular human being in this world, or no particular popes or whatever, that have greater say-so than everyone else. That's just my 2 cents.
I think it's funny, though, that he had an audience with a transgender man, you know, an FTM.
Right.
And that he basically, you know, accepted them. And he said that they were accepted in the Catholic faith. And then he goes off and he goes into this little spiel about how he really feels about the situation, because people were thinking that he, you know, going to be more friendly towards LGBT, and now we see that he is not.
Well, there must have been a change of heart there. Could it have been maybe some lobbyists paying him some money so he could change his mind? Could it be that maybe he wanted to get a little sexually friendly with an FDM individual and they turned him down? Who knows?
He did come across as very gay-friendly when he made his statements in Argentina back in, like, I don't know, what was it, like August of last year?
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh, he must be like a new breed of Catholic.
No, I think it's all money walks, bullshit talks kind of thing, or, you know, maybe he's got Alzheimer's and he thinks one way one day and he thinks another way another. I don't know. I don't really care.
He is old.
Yeah, he is very old. Anyway, let's talk about relationships and spirituality, which is Friday's theme. And
yay.
Talking about Friday's theme, next Friday we have a treat for you guys. We have a guest, and she is, if I can remember her name now, well, I can't look it up because my phone is being used right now, but yeah, she transitioned back in the 60s, and she is a sister, and was it evangelical or something?
Yeah, it was a Pentecostal preacher,
sure,
actually.
Yeah. And now is a sister, and, well, you know.
Nielsen, I think the name was.
Yes, and, yeah, so that's going to be interesting for next Friday, and staying in our theme. But for today, we're going to talk about relationships, spirituality, and all sorts of great stuff. When we think of relationships, we most often think of relationships we have had with our family, lovers, and even our pets.
But have we once thought of the planet we live on, that she is a living organism that provides life for us all?
Yes, definitely. And we take and never really consider her at all and balance the needs that she may have. We humans have become a termite.
We're infested fleas to this wonderful planet that has taken care of us for so very long.
Yes, definitely. We even want to discuss a little bit about this. We actually found an article, life may have thrived on Earth 3.2 billion years ago.
No way.
Yes.
My Christian upbringing says that the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
And that's kind of like way off, really.
Yeah.
I truly believe that
It's
that's
a bit off.
Yeah, a bit off. Anyway, scientists have found evidence that life on Earth may have blossomed 3.2 billion years ago, a challenge to the previous theory that the planet was a hostile climate until 2 billion years ago.
Researchers from the University of Washington studied ancient rocks and found indications that 3.2 billion years ago, life was sucking an essential nutrient, nitrogen, out of the air and converting it into larger structures, according to a report published in the weekly journal Nature.
Imagining that this really complicated process is so old and has operated in the same way for 3.2 billion years, I think it's fascinating. Lead Arthur Eva Strachan told UW Today.
Nitrogen is an essential ingredient for life, as everything from viruses and bacteria to complex organisms use the nutrient to build genes.
The process that makes nitrogen easier for organisms to use, called nitrogen fixation, did not emerge until 2 billion years ago. This led scientists to theorize that the earliest ecosystems were clinging on to an essentially uninhabitable planet, but the new study shows that they may be inaccurate, actually. Not be accurate. So, what I said the first time counted right.
Our work shows that there was no nitrogen crisis on the early Earth, and therefore it could have supported a fairly large and diverse biosphere, said study co-author Roger Buick.
I think a lot of things that we're seeing these days, you know, there's a lot of theories that have been proven false. You know, there's a lot of hearsay, and I think we are pretty much infants in a lot of things that are going on.
Yeah, I mean, people have been keeping records of the weather patterns modern day since like 1890. So people talking about how weather was before and stuff, they can only go back to just before the turn of the 20th century.
Exactly.
And when we realize that the planet is much older than that, it's like, why are we thinking that we're so smart?
Yeah, when we really aren't. We're pretending, we're shooting at the hip with a lot of things this day and age. And, you know, just because we sent a man on the moon, if that's even true, because they say that was a hocus pocus, you know, what makes us think that we know everything and that we clearly have all sorts of information?
I mean, one only has to look at, you know, the Grand Canyon to think of how long it took to develop that. You know, my Christian counterparts would say, oh, no, that was part of the big flood. And the truth is that something like that and just one big flood causing it, I just think it's more of a process over time that occurred. And so what's to explain all of these fossils that they found embedded into the rocks and stuff, or the sandstone even? It's just hard to agree with that kind of, you know,
rhetoric, theory, whatever.
Theory.
If we really think about it, the Earth has been destroyed many times, and many times it has rebuilt itself or herself. And we don't give Mother Earth enough credit. We don't really respect her. We don't actually realize that she is a living organism.
I mean, it's building right now.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if you go up into the Aleutian Islands up in Alaska, there are islands that are being formed right now from molten lava down below the Earth's surface, creating islands.
Yeah, and it's constantly ever changing, ever evolving. That's what it is. Anyway, that's that part of that.
So let's look at a totally different topic here.
Well, not really. It's about relationship, the relationship of the Mother Earth. Now it's intimacy.
Right, in relationships.
Right.
Okay. Intimacy is an important factor in relationships, whether you're married, committed, or dating someone seriously. Many have been traumatized due to religious beliefs, insecurities, or early childhood traumas, and or many other factors that are personal to that individual.
Without intimacy, a relationship can suffer. Now let's explain what intimacy means to each and every one of us.
Intimacy to me, well, I mean, means, you know, the love shared between two individuals that care for each other and look out for each other's needs. And that builds intimacy.
Now, are you of the mind frame that there needs to be sexual relationship in order to show some intimacy? Are you in the mind frame that sex is only to have babies and it's not to be enjoyed by
all means, no. Because, I mean, intimacy is the closest bond that we can have with our significant other. You know, I mean, it's what unites us to not just each other, but I think to our higher self, to our higher purpose.
Definitely. And it has been proven that there have been many, many other, let's say, tribes or other cultures that really utilize sexual experience to have a godly-like experience. And I find that in the Judeo-Christian beliefs, you know, the typical religious upbringing does not allow man and wife to really
Well, you're
enjoy
absolutely
sex.
right. I think that it is very skewed and looked upon in a negative light. It's like sex is like that dirty little secret, you know, that happens after, you know, two young people get together and they marry. First of all, you know, early days, Christianity, you know, me growing up, you know, I'm in my 40s, but dancing was absolutely unacceptable. And, I mean, intimacy was something you didn't talk about. If it occurred, it occurred, but for God's sake, still talk about it, because it's something that you have to keep to yourself. And I think that they really did a disservice to me, because I find that I would understand sex to be dirty, and it's not. It's the most beautiful expression of love that can be given to each individual that experiences it.
And you're not alone, because many people, I mean, I know a lot of my clients, I won't mention names, they were of the Jewish faith, who actually would put a sheet in between them and their wife and create a little hole to have sex. You know, and it's like, how can you enjoy? And it's like people are used to that final 5-second orgasm as their final outcome, and there's so much more to sex and lovemaking than just that quick release. And
I mean, sex in church, you know, never was even mentioned in the church setting. I mean, it was like, it's only now in these days that people have a little bit more freedom and they're trying to talk about these things now. But, you know, it's like the birds and the bees. You didn't talk about it. It was always like that thing that you didn't talk about. I don't even remember having a conversation with my parents about sex.
It's like the elephant in the room type of thing. And it's a very sad thing, because we are sexual beings as part of who we are. Our Creator gave us that ability to have pleasure. Is not just to make babies.
Right.
I mean, how many couples are infertile and they can't have babies? I mean, that's it, they can't have sex? You know, that's crazy. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and if we use it as a tool of spirituality, which I truly believe spirituality and sex are one and the same.
Well, I would agree, because I think that it's a connection that you have between your partner that makes you like one. For, you know, if you don't believe in God, that's one thing. If you don't believe in a divine, you know, in the divine, then that's another thing. But, you know, Mark and I believe that there's a divine, and that there is a energy out there that is above us and is the creator of all. And, you know, I just think that that connection that we have sexually is also a gateway into that experience with the creator.
And so much so that that's what tantric sex is all about.
Sex is exciting, but it's nothing new. It's likely that as long as humans have had sex, which as far as we know means from the very beginning of time, there have been humans who have thought about, talked about, and eventually started writing about what sex means and how we might make it more meaningful.
Tantric sex and teachings about tantric sexuality represent one of the oldest examples of a philosophy of spiritual sexuality that continues to be practiced today.
What is Tantra? One translation of the word Tantra is, quote, tools for expansion, unquote. Tantra is over 1,500 years old, and like yoga, it originated in India. It is a set of teachings and practices that are specifically designed to help us feel more, to increase our awareness of our own energy and the energy around us.
The path that Tantra uses to do this is the ends of exploration of sexual energy. The goal of tantric sex is to allow us to experience more depth and breathe in our sexuality, or breath in our sexuality. Goal is not necessarily orgasm, but rather enriching the whole sexual experience. While traditional tantric teachings refer to the concepts such as universal energy and higher power, the teachings are, in many cases, not about stubbornly sticking to one set of beliefs or rules.
If you're interested in the idea that sexual expression can bring you closer to a higher power, you will find much in Tantra that speaks to you. If you are looking for a way to enhance or deepen your sexual connection with your partner, Tantra can offer many wonderful opportunities without requiring that you follow any specific set of beliefs. We'll talk more about this in future broadcasts, but here are some quotes we wanted to share. A good orgasm is satisfying, but a great orgasm can be a revelation of your deepest being, unfolding the truth of who you are in ecstatic communion with your lover. David Day.
You can prolong orgasm through effortless breathing. Breath is the simplest and surest key to Tantra. It is responsible for energy movement and flow and heart openings. Keep it circular and relaxed. In the nose, out the mouth.
Breath is life. Connect to life through the breath. How? By gaining a greater sense of self through touch, sex, and pleasure. Self-awareness is the ultimate goal of sexuality, knowing your godlike divine self. Merge with your entire being, your universal you.
Prayer and Tantra. Tantra says that before you make love to a woman or to a man, first pray, because it is going to be a divine meeting of energies. God will surround you. Wherever two lovers are, there is God. Wherever two lovers are meeting and mingling, there is life, alive at its best. God surrounds you. Churches are empty. Love chambers are full of God. If you have tasted love the way Tantra says to taste it, if you have known love the way Tao says to know it, then by the time you reach 42, love starts disappearing on its own accord, and you can say goodbye to it with deep gratitude because you are fulfilled. It has been delightful. It has been a blessing. You say goodbye to it. Osho.
It's time we saw sex as the truly sacred art that it is, a deep meditation, a holy communion, and a dance with the force of creation. Marcus Allen.
The feeling of being alive and at one with everything is available through the path of Tantra. When your heart is open and you are making love, there is no separation between you, your partner, and God. This is healing sex. This is connecting with the divine. And the important thing to develop is the sense that it's sacred experience. It's available in all instants. It is not limited to sex. Philip Smith.
So we were looking at some YouTube videos prior to even having this topic on here tonight. And I just wanted to ask you some questions, because we were listening to what they were saying about the Kundalini, and just these sensory organs that don't really exist if you were to X-ray them, but that actually create a pathway for
the energy.
A 20-minute long
orgasm. That is correct, and it's a full body orgasm. And we have certain blocks, and according to the teacher that we were watching, they're the anal blocks, which doesn't allow the actual full body orgasm to shoot up your spine, and instead we get the short version 5-second orgasm that comes out of our genital.
Most people experience.
Exactly. But once you break through these blocks that we have in our body, the females, some of them have it in the cervix area around the lining of their uteral wall, or not uteral wall, vaginal wall, and in men it's in their anal area where instead of going up the spine, it goes up the hoo-hoo, you know what I'm talking about. But, it's very interesting, and I think that we as a society have been actually cheated on what experience of sexual healing is all about, because sex and the act of lovemaking is a tremendous tool for healing, not only healing diseases, but healing your spiritual deadness that a lot of us have. Because going to church does not fulfill that spirituality. Most people think it does, but it does not. There's something greater. And the church and the pastors and the Pope and everybody else tries to be the middleman, and we truly don't need a middleman.
Yeah, I think that, there's a lot of personal experience that I've had with this, and just realizing that my healing has also taken place because of experiencing these things. So it's personal to me. Definitely. Because I know that it has helped me to recover at a faster clip than I would have.
Definitely. And I'm a great believer in sexual healing, and I'm a very sexual being.
Mm-hmm.
And I use a lot of my abilities via making love. And that's just what I've used with you. And I know a lot of people probably don't understand, don't believe it or whatever, but we know what we're doing.
Well, the proof is in the pudding.
Exactly.
Yeah. So affirmations for Friday is that if you believe the phrase "you are what you think," then life truly stems from your thoughts. But we cannot rely purely on thoughts. We must translate thoughts into words and eventually into actions in order to manifest our intentions.
This means we have to be very careful with our words, choosing to speak only those words which work towards our benefit and cultivate our highest good. Affirmations help purify our thoughts and restructure the dynamic of our brain so that we truly begin to think nothing is impossible.
The word affirmation comes from the Latin affirmare, originally meaning, quote, to make steady, strengthen, unquote. Affirmations do indeed strengthen us by helping us believe in the potential of an action we desire to manifest. When we verbally affirm our dreams and ambitions, we are instantly empowered with a deep sense of reassurance that our wishful words will become reality.
The art of the spoken word is critical in crafting our futures. As a teacher of spirituality, it is my firm belief that we influence the universe word by word. If we dictate to it our wishes, it will respond. When we utter a sound, we emit a sound wave into the universe.
This sound wave pierces through the air and becomes a real object. It therefore exists in our world, intangible and invisible. No words are empty words, as every syllable we speak engages energy towards or against us. I can't, the energy of your words, will repel the universal force against you. But if you say, I can, the universe will endow you with the ability to do just that.
So speak away, relinquish your fears, and purge your anger. Predict your own future and live up to your potential. Monday's show will be latest or current events and the paranormal or supernatural, so do stay tuned for that. We have a show for you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and each day has a different topic or not topic or theme, I guess we call it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
If you can't live your truth,
then it's just not worth living. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take care.